are you on this day, this wonderful day? It's a beautiful day here where I am. The sun is shining. I've got my door open because I'm freezing in my house. So, I want to talk to you guys about something that I've been learning about this week and the last couple of weeks, I should say. And it's something that it's like it's really concerning. Now, this is going to be kind of like going to a class because I'm going to talk about something that I'm learning about, and hopefully you can learn from it as well. So it's metabolic syndrome. So raise your hand if you've heard about it, metabolic syndrome. So right now it's something that's very new, and they're still trying to determine exactly what it is. But let's just talk about this. Right now, 39% of men and women in the US over the age of 20 have metabolic syndrome. And the thing is that you can go ahead, baby. You can go. My mom's trying to go out. You can there's different ways, right, that you can develop this. And first, let's talk about kind of some of the things that they're considering to be the signs. And there's the first thing, and I'm going to talk about this mostly for women, but when you're looking at the waist size of a woman, if it's 31.5 inches or above, that is one of the markers of metabolic syndrome. Now, there's another group, and you have to have two of these. One of them is your triglyceride level over 150, your good cholesterol below 50, your blood pressure over 130, so it's over 130 over 85, and your fasting plasma glucose is greater than 100 milligrams. So those sorts of things are kind of the precursors to what metabolic syndrome, like what they're saying are kind of the identifiers of it. So how do you develop metabolic syndrome? So part of that is obesity, like we just talked about, the waist circumference. Another part is physical inactivity. And as I've been reading about this, I have learned that exercise really is something that helps with metabolic syndrome. So physical activity, and then there's diet. But there's other things. And, inflammation that you may have from foods, and your lifestyle overall. But like when this happens to you, people that have been diagnosed with it, people report that they have a poor health related quality of life, that and that's physical and mental. They have a poor health quality of life. So what can happen is metabolic syndrome can lead to other things like type 2 diabetes or cardiovascular disease, or even non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. All of these things are right here in the body, and when we have this extra waistline, this visceral fat surrounding our organs, even if we are not overweight, this can happen. It's the circumference of the waist that makes the difference. But we could just be carrying the weight here and nowhere else and not be considered obese. But if we have this extra fat around here, we are messing with the functions of these organs, and that causes insulin resistance and improper glucose metabolism. So, what are some other causes? So, other causes are your vitamin D and magnesium intake. If you are deficient in vitamin D and magnesium, vitamin D does so much for us. So it's so important. So if you're not getting out in the sun and getting it naturally, you may need to supplement. I supplement. I have been trying to get out in the sun more, but it's I have to do a whole nother talk on what vitamin D does for us. But it's really important when it comes to the function of our metabolic system. Environment toxins are another issue. So there are several different causes of metabolic syndrome and the risk of it. So this is kind of like at that stage in your health, you find out you have the metabolic syndrome, you want to start doing the things to prevent so you don't develop the diabetes and the cardiovascular disease and the non-alcoholic fatty liver. And how do you do that? Well, you do that with the things that you're not doing. You do that with lifestyle changes, and that includes diet and exercise. And, that's what I'm all about, because I know it can be very hard with all of the information out there on the internet. And I almost did a talk about that today because it's overwhelming and it's not all correct. And I've learned that in my master's program that you can't trust the stuff that you're reading on the internet. And because it could be, I'll just say it really quickly, it could be that the information is being paid for, like someone was paid to write the article a certain way. It could be sponsored by someone. You don't know. So you could probably find two different articles that conflict each other on the information. And I know that makes it very difficult for you. My philosophy is to eat whole foods. The Mediterranean diet is a key diet, lifestyle diet that someone could start to do. I've talked about it before, that someone could do. The Mediterranean diet is like almost a go-to diet for nutritionists because it has so many healthy benefits. And it's gotten very trendy, right? We hear about the Mediterranean diet in the news and on TV and in our Google searches. But the Mediterranean diet is a lifestyle. People in the Mediterranean have been eating that way for a long, long time. I don't know how long, but a long time. And they have been able to track that. And so it's so important that as you are eating, following that kind of diet will help you correct the issues with the metabolic syndrome, but also you need to exercise. Exercise helps with so many of the functions, again, in this area of your body to keep things going and running properly. Our bodies are very complex, and I am learning all this wonderful new stuff, and I'm hoping to share this with you in a way that you understand. Teresa said, too much sugar that can possibly give you diabetes. Is that correct? Well, yes, sugar is just bad in so many other ways. Like eliminating sugar from your diet is probably the best thing to do. And I say that with things that have added sugar in them. You want to look for things that have no sugar. Like if you look, like a tomato sauce is a perfect example. Tomato sauces, a lot of them do add sugar, but you will see a lot of them say no sugar added. Tomato sauce itself is sweet, so you don't need added sugar in there. Obviously, your cookies and things like that, they all have sugar in them. And it's okay to have one every now and then because deprivation is going to just make you go crazy. But overall, you should try not to eat any sugar and only get sugar in things like fruits and things like that, the natural form of sugar, no sugar added. If you develop diabetes, there are so many other things you have to consider, but just focusing on a Mediterranean diet, which is full of, whole grains, fruits, seeds, nuts, healthy fats, and, it's a really good way of eating. It's almost how I eat. As a vegan, I don't participate in any sort of dairy or eggs or anything like that is part of the Mediterranean diet, but I eat a whole food diet. I spend most of my time in the produce section. I do spend time in the freezer section and buy frozen veggies as well. But, the aisles of a store are where they're going to get you. And the food marketers know how to get you to eat more of their food. They have scientists in there designed so that you keep coming back for more. And that food may not be good for you and may be causing that waistline to grow. So, all right, that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.